was the last time you took a pause? When was the last time you relaxed and cut out all the expectations, noise, and stresses of the world to listen to yourself? If you can't remember or know you don't do it enough, you're in the perfect place. Welcome to Time to Pause, yes, pun intended, with pause being part of a cat, but also a stop and a break in your day. Time to Pause is a Houston-based youth-led podcast focused on reducing the stigmas around mental health and encouraging Houston youth to learn more about and support their well-being. In our three-episode series, we will be discussing a variety of mental health and stress management topics, ranging from burnout and anxiety to healthy study habits. We will be sharing personal anecdotes, hearing from peers, and learning from experts in our future episodes. We are so excited to collectively learn more about wholesome mental health as we delve into the topic over the next few months and hope you are too. But in addition to learning, we equally want to have a great time. And to do that, we need to get to know one another if we want this to be as fun as possible. So who are we? We are the Mental Health Committee of the amazing and highly dedicated Houston Mayor's Youth Council. We work with a group of incredible peers from all over the city to serve the youth community by tackling issues ranging from environmental justice to mental health, which is why we're here today. So before we get started with today's content, we should go around and introduce ourselves so that the audience knows a little bit more about us and why we're here. So I can start. I'm Amrita Nangarla. I'm a representative of District G in the Houston Mayor's Youth Council. I have been in the council for 2 years. This is my second year. And I'm currently the chair of the Mental Health Committee, a role that I'm really passionate about. Um, so I joined the Mayor's Youth Council because I love leadership. I love hosting events. I love working with other people for big causes. And so that's kind of why I joined because this council has given me so many opportunities to do that, and also work with other people to do that as well. And I love socializing. I love networking, and so being in the council has been a really great way to do that. Um, and so we can go next.
Oh, yes. Hi, my name is Zoe Richardson. I'm a first year member. I'm currently a sophomore, and I attend Kingwood High School. I'm a representative of District E for Humble ISD, and I joined the Mayor Youth Council specifically to get in tune with mental health and bringing bigger impact into the environment. So I joined the Environmental Justice Committee and the Mental Health Committee as well, because I thought through tangible efforts, we were able to hopefully make a bigger impact for not only the youth, but also Houston as a whole. So yeah, that was mine. And then Denim, would you like to go next?
Yes. Okay. So, hi everyone. My name is Sinam Linux Sasser. This is my first year on the MYC. I joined MYC because I wanted to be integral in changing lives of Houston youth. So I am on the council and committee for education equity, mental health, and environmental justice.
Perfect. And then Kayla can go next.
Sorry. Hi, I'm Kayla Horn. I am a senior at Blair High School, and I'm a representative for District D in Houston ISD. This is my first year on the Mayor's Youth Council. I'm also a part of the Voter Engagement Committee and Education Equity as well as mental health. And I joined the council just as a way to engage with youth voices within the community and really give a chance to have our issues and our needs heard within the greater Houston area. And I'm really excited to be a representative for the youth around our community and just have a voice for those who don't really get to have a chance to share what they are worried about or struggles in their own responsibilities. So yeah, super happy to be with all of you guys.
All right, and then I do want to give a little bit of a shout out to Mr. McClendon. He is the advisor of the Mental Health Committee at the Houston MYC, and he's been an incredibly supportive figure as we facilitate and organize this podcast, among other initiatives that we've had this year. So This is a shout out to Mr. McClendon. I'm sure he's watching. All right, so now that we introduced ourselves a little bit, we want to discuss more about our purpose, right? Um, so, despite mental health issues, including anxiety and depression, among many others, rising in youth in recent years, there is a lot of stigma and unease around the topic due to a variety of reasons. And the stigma is actually incredibly harmful because it prevents individuals struggling with these challenges from confidently asking for help while limiting the ability of all individuals to foster positive mindsets and maintain their mental health. So we hope that by discussing the topic more openly, we're able to reduce the stigma and encourage real conversations and set Houston youth up for positivity and well-being. And of course, since this podcast is virtual, we hope that we'll be able to reach people outside of Houston too. And while our target is youth, we're sure that this content and these conversations will be impactful for all members of the community. And one thing that we really wanted to note is that mental health is often seen as a specific issue or notion that only applies to those struggling with it. And while it can be persistent and most prevalent in the lives of those struggling with it, it is something that applies to all of us, right? Because it is important that we all know how to embrace positive mental health so that we can continue having good well-being and being confident in ourselves and having that good self-esteem to carry us through our lives. So even though it may not be relevant specifically to where you are in life right now, it is an important skill really to build upon. So we hope that this podcast will support that. And also, as a disclaimer, we are not certified mental health professionals. This podcast is about reducing the stigma around mental health and serving as inspiration and motivation for you all to practice healthy habits and make sure that you can kind of sustain your well-being during times of stress or unease. But if adamant concerns do arise, we encourage you to talk to a trusted adult and a mental health professional to get that support. But in the meantime, we hope that we can give you some encouragement to just have positive mental health. All right, so therefore, we hope you find purpose in listening to and engaging with this podcast. We really want you to reach out to the Mayor's Youth Council with any questions or support. And also, we want you to pay it forward by encouraging your own community, whether that be at work, at school, to allow people to embrace positive mental health, practice good habits, and give themselves some grace. So yeah, does anyone want to add to our purpose?
I have something to add. So
Yeah.
like we said again, we are not mental health professionals, so please take everything we say with a grain of salt. But it's also good to have a place where you can feel comfortable like engaging and relating to your community. We are here to provide that space. You should feel comfortable asking us questions, like giving us insight, or even sharing your own experiences with us. We'd be happy to listen, happy to help you in any way we can, and of course, support each other through times that are tough. And we want to offer like the Mayor's Youth Council, especially the Mental Health Committee, as a way to be that solace and that comfortable, like safe space for all of you guys, especially within the youth. So make sure to definitely share with all your friends and family if you want to like share that positivity forward in a way. So yeah.
Yeah, so we are currently in the process. Thank you so much, Kayla, for sharing that. Like we said, it is important to take everything we say here with a grain of salt because, again, we're not certified. However, we do think that this will be a space for you all to get support that you may need. So please understand both sides of that notion. Also, we are in the process of building our social media presence, and all of these clips will be shared on any important clips will be shared on that account. So once you get this posted, please feel free to share and kind of reduce the stigma with us, right? But yeah, so today we'll be having a little bit of an introductory conversation about general mental health and ways that you can kind of detoxify your mental health, or I guess this is kind of, it goes hand in hand, but dealing with internal anxiety or any struggles that you may have. So, for example, this can include overthinking and stress and just rumination, I guess, which is a really common thing, right? So, today we're going to be discussing just social media because this can often contribute to that social well being and self care, which is really, really important. It seems like a basic part of mental health, but it's really important that you kind of hone in on that when you do need to. So, does anyone want to get started just talking about maybe their experience with social media on our little guideline that we have for our conversation today? It specifically says social media break. So maybe your experiences with maybe taking breaks from social media, how you have a healthy relationship with it. Does anyone want to get started with that conversation?
I can get started. Let me see if anybody else. I can get started with the social media things. I have examples. So, starting off with social media itself is a very integral part of like our generation, especially with the times, how the internet has changed over the years, how dependent we are on the internet have changed, especially with things like quarantine playing a tie in it. So it's really important to use social media in a very like ethical way. So social media is an integral part in like connecting with people that you may not be close to. Like for me, I use it to connect with my friends that I may not go to the same school with, and it's been a really helpful part for me in that way. Like sending my friends Insta reels or sending them TikToks so like they know I'm not dead, you know. But the backside of that comes with like their presence on social media and how you manage it can be very like important to how others may perceive you. And I know a lot of people tend to get caught up in being like a social media present influencer type, where you want to show your best part of yourself always on your page. Like I'm taking Instagram as an example for this because this is very prominent, especially within high school and the high school culture, where you see somebody else's Instagram and you see, oh man, they're doing all this stuff. They always have like living the life, but looks to be deceiving. And I know a big part of like social media is like I'm trying to judge a book by its cover, when in reality what they may show on social media may not be reflective of what their actual day-to-day life is. And it's important to not get caught up in trying to like present the best part of yourself forward all the time, because that's not realistic and it can be draining. So I know for me, I tend to take like social media breaks, and I'm very mindful of what I post, just because I know I don't want to put the wrong idea out there too, especially for students. Like I said, I'm a senior, so it's very important to be mindful of what you post, because colleges will look at that and people will view like who you are and judge like kind of first impressions based on what you post online. So digital footprint, very important. Like watch what you like, watch how you interact with people online, and how you want the your best part to be reflected on, like your character, by how you present yourself online in a very professional way. But the main like harmful side of social media, besides like that whole toxic like trying to be the best influencer culture, would be like addiction. And I know addiction is like a very serious word. It can be usually associated with like drugs or like alcohol, but people tend to overlook how addiction can be with like social media and videos online. I am being very honest. I've had a social media addiction for like a long time, especially during like things like quarantine. I my screen time, like hours upon hours, and it's really like humiliating to admit, but like it's important to recognize what it is, an addiction. And taking the time to step back from my phone has been really helpful for me in a way to like clear my head and preoccupy myself with other hobbies that can be engaging besides interacting with social media. I set myself a screen time for my social media apps, so it limits the amount of time I have on them, and that can like encourage me to like just put down my phone for a minute, like go take a walk, like do anything, talk to my family. I play piano, like run outside, go take a run. Small stuff like that can really help you clear your mind better. And people like see social media as like a quick way to get endorphins. Like it's really fun, but the short term effect is not as good as the long term effect. And by stepping away from that, you can really take time to clear your mind and clear your thoughts. and that can really help with reducing your stress. So yeah, just a little personal insight from me.
That was really great. One thing that really stood out to me was you saying that it's important to acknowledge that whatever you were kind of experiencing with social media was an addiction, because I think in any situation, really, I think solving an issue begins with identifying that there's an issue in the first place. So I really appreciate you saying that, because I think with social media, because it's so normalized, we don't really recognize it as a problem because it looks like everyone else is doing it. Everyone else is spending hours on their phones. So it's like, why should I stop, right? But just because a lot of people are doing it doesn't mean that it's necessarily good. And if you truly feel like something in your life, whether that be social media or a friendship or a relationship or even an activity, really, like an extracurricular, I know that's a big thing in high school, right? So if anything is just not right for you, I think it's important that you guys recognize that and take a step away. And if it ends up not being that, if it ends up not being a problem, right? Like if you take a step back and realize, you know what, I don't think that was a problem, then you can always go back to it, right? So I think it's important to be honest with yourself, like Kayla said, when you do feel like something's kind of out of place, because that's how you can solve them. And that's how you can move forward.
I had a really I have an idea for what we could do for right now. Uh, Everybody has a screen time app on your phone, right?
Yes.
I feel like it would be fun to like compare to see who has the worst screen time. Like I have one from
Yeah.
today, mine from was it? Sorry, Saturday and Friday. So let's see. I'll start. Today my screen time is only 2 hours and 30 minutes, which is crazy because it's only 3 p.m. But yeah, most of it is on social media.
Mine right now is 58 minutes, which I think is actually pretty good
It's pretty good.
for being Sunday.
Mine right now is 3 hours and 20 minutes long, which is it's only because I was like watching a movie on my phone though. But other than that, I wasn't like sidetracked with social media.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah.
Okay, mine so far is 3 hours and 13 minutes.
No,
I was listening to music while I was working though, so I think
Yeah.
right, okay.
Okay, the real one comes. What was your screen time yesterday? If you guys can see that.
Let me see.
I'm gonna start. We listen and we don't judge. 9 hours and 41 minutes.
That's
And most of that was
crazy.
from 7 to 10 a.m. So
That's
7
really early in the
p.m.
day.
no 7, oh, not a.m. My bad. It's p.m. But
Oh.
also 1 and 2 a.m. See, so, listen.
Okay. Mine yesterday was 3 hours on the dot. So
Okay.
Mine was also 3 hours on the dot. That's
okay.
crazy.
Mine was 6 hours 58 minutes.
Was
But
it another
yeah, that
movie?
was because I was binging movies yesterday.
Exactly.
So
Yeah. So
Yeah.
that cancels out.
Okay, now I feel the guys.
I think, like Zoe said, I don't think that, I mean, it's fun to look at your screen time, but also there's a lot of different factors that go into it. Like, I know.
For sure.
So, guys, if you're doing this with us and you're looking at your screen time, it's okay if it's long. It just, you have to try to think about how that time is distributed, right? If it's a
Yeah.
movie, obviously it's going to be long. And I'd say watching long form content is a lot healthier than social media. Like, I feel like spending 2 hours watching like a nice movie can do you a lot better than scrolling for that long.
Yeah.
I've
So,
heard people say that they usually feel more fulfilled or accomplished after watching like a 2.5 hour movie rather than like scrolling through TikTok or watching YouTube shorts or short form content in general. They
yeah.
feel like, I don't know, they just feel more like liberated or like they've actually accomplished something.
With the attention span thing too, like
Right.
a lot of the days
Exactly.
social media is built to like have short like short videos to have your attention span be hooked. And that's how addiction happens really quickly. Like it's short, like I'll do one more. I'll do one more. And then it keeps happening. And then it's like 2 a.m.
Right.
and you haven't done anything.
I'm just surprised my attention span is still like stable. Like I'm surprised it hasn't gone down crazy because I've been watching a lot of short form content like lately when I especially like during downtime, which
Yeah.
I'm trying to like actively work on, like putting my phone down and like maybe reading a book, which my dad encourages me to do more of.
Hi guys. If you noticed that little break, it's because our Zoom ended after 40 minutes. Maybe in the future we can invest in Pro, but right now our meeting max is 40 minutes. But that did give us time to kind of segue into what we want to talk about next. So I'm not sure if this was in the recording or if it ended before then, but Zoe, when talking about screen time, she mentioned how her dad suggested her focus on books and kind of um, foster that interest as a way to mitigate the one in social media. So, Zoe, do you want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, my dad actually introduced that idea quite recently. It was, I believe, like last month. He was talking about how I should less or mitigate my screen time by maybe going to the library more often and choosing maybe 3 books and kind of incorporating reading into my downtime, maybe 1 hour a day, like 7 hours a week, something like that. And just as a way to kind of get away from all of that, all of the social media, all of the distractions, and kind of really focus in on like things that aren't constantly like diluting or diluting your brain in a way. So I thought that was really helpful for me. I was really able to like kind of hone in on myself, take time for myself more often than I used to when I would watch or scroll on TikTok, scroll on social media for like hours on end. So, and it also helped me kind of reflect as well. Like after I was done reading, I usually set like a 1 hour timer, and after I was done reading, I kind of reflect on what I read, and I was able to like kind of view things in a more analytical lens in that way.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. I think reading is really good in particular because I think when you're on social media, right, there's just so much content coming at you, right, about so many different things. I think reading, obviously, it takes a few hours to get through a good book, right? I think reading makes
Right.
you kind of focus your energy in one place at one time as opposed to getting this like huge huge collection of reels about different things or TikToks or whatever social media you may use, right? But
Yeah.
yeah, reading is a really good thing. Like when I was in elementary school, I was a huge reader, and I still am. I obviously have less time to do so with school and all in my coursework, but um, that reading from a young age and just building that habit as opposed to spending more time like watching TV or something like that, I think it really set me up for success in a lot of different aspects of my life. Like reading, that focus I got from that really helped me in orchestra in middle school. And then now I feel like being able to sit down and just do one thing for hours on end has been really nice because now I have that attention span when like doing homework and things like that. So I think reading is something that you guys should all consider kind of doing more, right? I'm sure we all read at some
Yeah.
point, but focusing on it.
Especially
Yeah,
as
like
you're
finding
moving
a way
forward.
to, yeah.
Oh, no, say continue.
No, I was just saying, just finding a way to incorporate it into your daily schedule is like essential for sure.
Hmm.
Definitely.
And that acts as a form of self-care.
Right.
Yeah.
Speaking of self-care, actually, what are some other ways you guys like to do like self-care breaks and stuff like that to get away from everything happening and dealing with stress and all that?
For me, journaling is a huge thing. Like, I actually, let me show you guys. I have my journal on my desk ready to go. It's this nice black one. I got it from one of my best
So
friends.
cute.
Thank you. And it has just stickers that I collected randomly. But this journal is always on my desk. And whenever I have something that's just like bothering me, or if I just want to get something out, like maybe someone said something that bothered me, or maybe I'm just like stressing about a certain thing, a certain test, even I just like writing it down. Because once you see it on paper, it seems so minuscule. It's actually kind of funny. Like, it seems like this huge thing when it first happens, when you're thinking about it. But once you get it down on paper, it feels like this weight kind of lifts off your chest. And it's really nice to do that. And I know journaling is a really popular self-care tip, but it really, really is impactful because it lets you kind of align your thinking and gain clarity. So that's something I'd like to do.
That's good. Didn't
What
know.
about you? Oh,
Okay, I can go next. So I feel one of the things that I like to do for self-care is just like detaching from everyone, everything, phone, school, stress, work. I feel like especially when I was younger and still learning how to balance my social life and then like my personal well-being and my work, I really like overshadowed my own needs in order to prioritize what I needed to do for academics for my extracurriculars. But I found that in doing that, if you're not prioritizing your mental health, everything else that you do is going to be affected by that, no matter how much work you put into it. So I think that once I realized that, I started integrating more self-care days or self-care tips into like my weekly routine. So especially over the weekend, I'll try to stay off my phone for a few hours and like, like take time when I'm getting ready to like wash my face and like do my skincare and like body care and things that just like replenishes my outward appearance and like my how I feel about myself and how I perceive myself. And I feel like that helps a lot because when you feel good, you do good. When you look good, you do good. And so that's something that I've been adopting really recently. And adding on to what Emrita said earlier, reading is also something I don't get to do it as much as I like to, but when I was younger, I also loved reading, and it is something like Emrita said that like sets you up for like success later on. The just being able to sit down and like be to yourself and do something that you enjoy, no matter what it is like beautiful for your mental health and mental clarity. So
You were mentioning skincare. I was about to say your skin is glowing right now, by the way. Just absolutely.
yes. Thank you guys. You guys too.
I adding off, let me think. Some self-care, my self-care seems a little bit like unorthodox in a way. To me, taking the time to like detox my mentality, I like to take a pillow and scream as loud as I can into said pillow as like a way just to get your emotions out. Because sometimes you just need like a good scream, like a good scream, a good cry can really go a long way. And people like to like kind of have a stigma around showing your emotion, expressing your emotions, especially within like youth or different like I know there's this thing about toxic masculinity. You can't cry if you're a boy, all that type of stuff. Very harmful to like youth mindset, especially since all our bodies are made to cry, made to express our emotions. And I think it's really ignore that. Sorry, they're loud. I think it's really helpful to like get into your emotions sometimes and let those things out. You can't keep your emotions bubbled up all the time. And getting a chance to like scream or get a good cry out can really like clear my mind for a day. That's my little stuff self-care. Besides that, I like to go walk around and like get out of my energy. So fun fact, I'm a baton twirler. So I like to go outside. I might have them right here, sticks. These are handmade, by the way. Lovely. I like to dance. I like to twirl my ribbons. These are my ribbons. Just like have fun. And when you're moving your body, you feel a lot more like detached from your mentality. So getting to engage more physically is a big way for how I like to take care of myself and keeps you healthy. So you can still get that nice glow on your skin and body tea, all that stuff. So yeah.
For me, as I had mentioned, I think earlier in the video, I was talking about how my screen time was high solely due to like the fact that I was watching a lot of movies. And that's like that's probably like the main thing I do, so, like as like a detoxification. Like I like to set time aside, actually like my entire Friday night after a long week of school. I will isolate myself in our theater room and just binge watch maybe 2 to 3 movies on Netflix and just completely disassociate from like the outside world and just like kind of be in like my personal bubble in a way where I don't have to think about like tests that are coming up, or oh, what's the next assignment I have to turn in, or oh, what extracurricular am I having to focus on next week, or having to plan all of this stuff like outside for the upcoming week. I like to just completely hone in on like every passing second, minute, hour of that night to myself and just completely like let go and be like free in a way.
What type of movies have you been watching recently? Any
I
recommendations?
watch oh my gosh. I've been watching a lot of historical pieces and like a lot of I like a lot of murder mysteries as well. So like I'm trying to think. Have you ever heard of like the Knives Out series?
I have not.
I
I
love
highly
that
recommend it.
series.
Yeah,
Yes, it's
yes.
gorgeous.
Yes, and they just recently came out with a new one. I think it was called something with Dead Man's something. I can't remember, but it came out I think in October, November, and I absolutely fell in love with it. But I highly recommend that series.
You seem like you would like American Horror Story.
Yeah, I think I would. I need to get into that because I've heard so
Mm.
much about it. Oh my gosh.
Like true crime type stuff too.
Yeah, true crime, all of that.
Mm.
This is kind of off topic with all like the movie recommendations, but if you guys want to try that, if that's kind of your cup of tea, then we would definitely recommend you tuning into those. But I also wanted to know, I really appreciate Zoe talking about using movies as a way to detoxify, because I think right now our conversation has been very like anti-social media, like anti-screen time, but screens don't have to be bad if you use them correctly. And I think that's a really important idea. I know personally, like one, like Zoe said, right, watching movies, the long form content can actually be really great. And a lot of movies, like whether it be explicitly stated or not, a lot of movies have really important values and important lessons that you can get from them, which makes them worthwhile, right? And then just to segue with screens in general, right? Like I know some people may consider this as a form of social media. I don't, because I don't think it's as addictive. But for me, I love Pinterest, right? I love setting myself out like 30 minutes to kind of just build like my dream room, my dream life, like what like healthy snacks I want to make in the future, right? Pinterest is one of my favorite things to do, to use like my laptop or any screen really in a healthy way, because for me it's like I'm kind of manifesting what I want for my future, right? Which I think is really, really healthy. So screens are not always bad. It's just balancing how you use it to serve you in a way that's meaningful. But yeah, I really appreciate Zoe saying that because I feel like we've been very anti-screen.
You can never be anti-screen in such a digital age, unfortunately.
Yeah, yeah. All right. So now that we talked about self-care a little bit and how we practice that in our own different ways, um, we also wanted to talk a little bit about socializing and networking, because I think, like Kayla just said, this is such a digital age that we're in right now. And I think with social media being such an easy way to connect, we lose, I wouldn't say more meaningful, but we lose that in-person connection, right? While social media can be great to get to know people who may be on the other side of the world or even across the city, right? It's important to hone in and also build relationships with the people who are near to you, who you do see in real life, because that definitely carries a weight that you can't um, get on social media or virtually. So I think I'd really like to talk about that because I know for me at least, like with school and extracurriculars and just work in general, it can be really easy to kind of let these people be unprioritized, I guess, even if you do deeply care about them, right? So for me, it's always important to set at least one time or two times per month that just times where I know I'll be able to see my friends and that we can do something fun outside of a school setting. So I think for me, just having something to look forward to is one important way I can prioritize having that real life connection. Do you guys want to speak about that a little bit?
Okay, I can speak about that. So drawing back to the earlier question about like how do you kind of recharge after social media or from stress or like things like that, I feel like in addition to like taking care of myself, one of the best ways that I personally take care of myself is by connecting with the people around me. So at school, I love to hang out with my friends during lunch, during advocacy, in class, or whenever we have some downtime, because I feel like being able to connect with people in like a really interpersonal and intimate way is a way that you can kind of like feed your soul and feed your brain. And it's also an amazing way to like just kind of pause all of the stress and anxieties you have surrounding yourself in the moment and just like live in the moment with the people around you that make you feel your best, like make you feel like you're the best version of yourself, if that makes sense. So I feel like I feel like prioritizing like your personal connections is really important, especially I spoke about friends, but also with family. Like Zoe's dad is who encouraged her to, hone in on her own feelings and kind of just give herself personal time. And I feel like having people that are close to you that can remind you that you need to take care of yourself is really important. And same thing with like your siblings and other connections like that. So that's my own take on it.
I love that take. Can I like kind of piggyback off you for this one? So I know we talked a lot about like friends and family, but another important thing about socializing, I like feel like for me as like an extrovert kind of in interacting with strangers as well. I like to do this thing. This is a goal for myself, especially for 2026, was to give more compliments to people. Because life is hard and every day is like you don't always have a good day. And I feel like those little things, like getting a compliment from a stranger or somebody asking you how you are, can really mean a lot to making somebody's mood better, especially when it comes with dealing with stress or anxiety. So like just taking the time out of your day to like talk to a stranger saying, "Hey, I like your backpack. What's like how are you doing?" Stuff like that can really help build connections and make the world seem a little bit smaller. Like it's very overwhelming being in like the big space with school, later into life, college, the workforce, all of it can be seen really overwhelming. And it's easy to get caught up in yourself and feel like you're alone. When in reality, you can make connections with anyone. You can make connections out of anything. And it really takes these small steps, like being brave enough to go out there and put yourself out there to interact with people you don't know, to learn more about them. Because like everything, like friendships they have to start somewhere, and you know with interacting with friends we've been friends with for so long, you kind of forget like where did that all start. And when you think about it, it started with one of you guys talking to each other out of the blue, and from that it builds into something beautiful. So I feel like it's a really good idea to have this as like a goal for yourself. Like try to get like my personal best is getting like 10 compliments in one day to other people. And that is a really good like goal to have, just something to look forward to. It helps with confidence, helps with clarity and building friendships like that. Also helps with public speaking. So if you want to interested into doing that too.
I love that. I love how both of you guys really talked about friendships and relationships in a really meaningful way. I think one thing I wanted to note was Denim saying how the people she surrounds herself with are people who remind her who she is and the best version of herself, right? And people who can kind of um, take away from all the stresses and anxieties of daily life, right? And I think that part about finding people who remind you about the best version of yourself and remind you to like remind you who you are. I think that's incredibly beautiful because I know I have two best friends and just spending like 5 minutes with them can change my whole day around, right? Like the laughs that we have, like that can just set up the rest of my day to be so much more calmer and so much more relaxed because they remind me who I am outside of all this work, outside of all the stress, I guess, right? And I think, like Denham said, people who speak to your soul, I think finding those people is really important because they're rare to find. And when you do, I think it's important that you do prioritize them and give them a chance to grow in your life because they do serve a lot of benefits for yourself and them as to in terms of like growing together and becoming the people you want to be. And then Kayla, I love the talking to strangers thing. I've seen this on social media, ironically, but taking time to make those connections with people who you would never think of talking to is really, really cool because who knows, that person could be like your best friend for life, right? Because of one conversation. So kind of putting yourself out there, even though it may be hard, even though we may not all be extroverts, I think you know what? It may not be 10 compliments, maybe it'll be one, but I think that can make a difference. So thank you so much for sharing. We did go through all that we wanted to talk about. We are a little bit, I feel like we did go in depth, which is really great, but I do want to save some ideas for our next episodes. Um, so our next episode, I know we talked about this a little bit today, especially with our last conversation about friends at school and stuff, but our next episode will focus on student well-being and student health. We're all students here. Kayla's about to be a college student, but we're all students, so we do have a lot to say about this because we're in the midst of it. But our next episode should focus on that with, of course, other things pertaining to mental health. We're hoping to have an expert speak to us and share their advice and tips with all of you all in our next episodes. And we'll definitely send more updates on our social media soon about that. But yeah, so for key takeaways, if you guys want to share anything, please feel free to interrupt me. But I think our key takeaways are to recognize if something's wrong for you, especially social media, right? Because it's so normalized in today's digital age. If you feel like something isn't right, if you feel like you need to take a break, you can take a break, right? It's important to recognize that that is a possibility. If you need some time off your phone, take it. You know, it may be hard, but spend that time doing other things that fulfill you, right? Like Kayla said, go on a run, talk to friends, do something that will serve you, right? Another key takeaway is find other means, like I just said, of engaging with friends or engaging with interests other than being on your phone because social media can be unhealthy in some ways. So like Zoe did, right? Embrace reading, embrace running, embrace self-care, right? Whatever that may look like for you. And then does anyone have any other takeaways from today's conversation?
I would say like a big part about reducing stigma, like the first step in finding a solution to something is recognizing that there's a problem. So like what Amita was saying before, recognizing that you need help with something, recognizing that you struggle with something, don't feel ashamed for reaching out for help and really taking that step. It really depends on you. And like it's hard to be brave sometimes, but sometimes it's needed in order to see results. So we really encourage you guys to take that chance to reflect on your life, reflect on your issues, and really channel in that inner voice that requires you to see and speak out to find help that you need.
Yeah, and I like how you said that it begins with you because I don't know if you guys have seen this, but a really famous actor, Timothy Chalamet, he has this viral clip of him saying this quote. I forget the beginning of it, but at the end, it's that you have to realize that life is coming from you and not at you. And I think that's really important because, yeah, there's things that are uncontrollable in our lives, but it's important to consider how we can respond to them, right? Because ultimately, that's how we can move forward and live our best lives and be the best versions of ourselves. Um, and yeah, so that will be it for today. Today, we encourage you to take time for yourself, embrace self-care, whether that be going on a walk, doing a fun hobby, or calling a friend. And because these are all really important steps to make sure you're doing okay. And then we hope you will continue tuning into this podcast. We had so much fun today. It was really great to hear from everybody. And yeah, thank you for your time.
Wait, guys, crazy idea. What if, like, since like it's Paws, we like do like the outro? It's like Paws. Never mind.
Yes, but that's actually good. So, like Kayla just said, this podcast is called Take a Time to Pause or Take a Pause, right? So that's what we encourage you to do today, whether that be listening to this podcast or doing other means of self-care. But yeah, thank you so much for joining us today. I will stop the recording now. Bye.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.